Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to our closing call for the immersion. Right. Oh, it's so good to see everyone. I'm sure we'll be getting a few more folks here in just a few minutes. Yep, I can see people trickling in. Welcome, welcome. All right. Well, I'm gonna dive right in. So, wow. All right. So how is everyone doing? You can leave me some love in the chat over here. And let me know how you enjoyed our opening call, how you enjoyed the videos that were sent to you, if you had a chance to do any of the journal questions, and um, we will also be needing another glass of water. Um, so go grab a glass of water and we will start in just a minute. Just gonna give everybody a moment to get settled. So yeah, if you don't have your glass of water, go ahead and grab it and come right back. All right, so in our opening call, I briefly mentioned um, Veda Austin and Masaru Emoto. And I wanted to do a little screen share and show you a little bit more about um, Veda's work. Um, so the reason that I want to talk about this is because it gives us this idea of how powerful water is and how we can become sacred water stewards and what that even means. So, to begin here, I'm gonna do a little screen share. I've got her website up and give it just a moment. All right. So we know that water is receptive. We know that it is powerful, and that what we put into this water, the energy that we put in, the vibrations, the thoughts, the magic that we put into the water, it is reflected back. And with Veda Austin's work, you can see here that through her method of just using a petri dish and her home freezer, you get things like you write the number 4 and it shows up in the ice. You have a braid, shows up in the ice. I think one of the most remarkable ones is the photo of this face and how it is reflected in the ice. I mean, the ice itself just absorbs it. Same thing with the ginkgo leaves and how you can see them there. Um, the amethyst, and yeah, let's see, show more. We can just go on and on and on. But the reason that I'm starting with this today is because I want you to see how powerful, how magical, how intelligent water is, and that there is more to water than what we know, than what we think. And as I also mentioned in our opening call, it is something that we have known, the ancient people have known for a very, very long time. There's a reason that sacred sites were built near sacred springs, why ancient people deposited offerings and jewelry and all sorts of things into sacred springs and into water. They understood the power of it, and more than just a life-giving force. So, as I said before, we're going to drop into ritual early on in the call, and then we're going to open up for some Q&A, and I'm going to talk a little bit more. And so I think it's so important for our modern day, for the planet, for what's going on in the world right now, that collectively we turn our attention to how powerful and how sacred and how magical water is. Um, the world itself is a crazy place right now, but the water that we drink, the water in our neighborhoods, the water that flows through the planet is not separate from us. In fact, it is part of us. I had already mentioned this before, but we are vessels of water. We are sacred vessels of water. And these sacred vessels of water that we are, they they're so connected to the waters. Now, I feel like I'm getting a little bit scattered here, so let me refocus. The water on our planet is so important. It's the water that we drink. Within 5 minutes of us drinking our water, it becomes our blood. And so when we think about the pollution that's happening to our water on a massive scale, it's it's wild. And when we think about that and how that's the water that we drink, it's kind of a scary thought. And like I kind of mentioned on the opening call, I believe that we can make change, that we can take responsibility for our own physical bodies, for um our own physical chalices, for the watershed from where we live, the local lakes, ponds, rivers, and that collectively we can make change. And so the reason why I want us to really turn to ritual in the beginning is I want to give us a nice long ritual space. I want us to really begin to dive into these practices, these connections with water. Just like every snowflake is different, so is every water priestess, every water steward. And so there's this understanding that when we go into the ritual space together, we will have different experiences. And that's really important because what water may say to you may be different to someone else. So as you kind of got the coursework and you got to kind of play with creating an altar and your own sacred adornment, and really kind of looking at how you want to show up in the world as a water priestess or a water bearer, well maiden, or just a sacred steward of water. It probably came a lot from your own mind, from your own thinking, waking mind. But what I would love for us to do is really take this kind of turn back into the sacred realms, the other world, the magical realms, and step into a space where we allow water to speak to us, to tell us what our mission is. Now, I have one more thing to say before we dive in. I have another course coming up later this month. We start on the 30th of the month, and it's called the Well Maidens. And you're going to be kind of introduced to the Well Maidens in an in-depth way. We're going to work with the Well Maidens through vision journeys and contacting and connecting with them. But you may start to feel their presence in today's vision journey. And that is because they're not separate from, all the different courses. I have been personally very immersed in their energy a lot, and they happen to show up a lot recently. And the reason for this is because what is happening on our planet now with the pollution and the way that women in general are treated, the way that the sacred feminine is treated, and humans in general are treated, it's not different than what they've experienced and kind of where their story came from. Like I said, we're going to do a deep dive in that course at the end of the month. But I have a feeling that for many of you, some of them might show up, or you might get a glimpse of them. So I just wanted you to be aware of that and to, allow that energy to flow into your field and see what they have to say. The thing about the well maidens is that not only were they considered to be oracles and water spirits, but they were considered to be the voice of the wells, the voice of the water. And so when we are interacting with water in the physical world, within the spiritual realms, they often show up. The water often shows up as these well maidens. They are magical and magnificent and marvelous to work with. Um, so, all right. I want you to find your sacred vessel, whatever you have chosen as your sacred vessel, and I want you to make sure that there's a little bit of water in there. And today, if you can, make sure that that water is drinkable. If it's not drinkable, you can do anointing instead of sipping this water. So just to recap, with Masaru Emoto and Veda Austin's work, we know that water is receptive. We know that what energy we put into this water, when we kind of drink that water, when we bring it into our body, within 5 minutes, it becomes our blood. This is significant because we're literally charging ourselves with the energy that we are pulling from these vision journeys, from these meditations into ourselves. It becomes this cyclical process. So think about that. Consider that when you come out of ritual. Um, and we're going to take it up a couple notches today. Um, and really charge this water. Now, yeah, okay, I think I'll stop talking and let's go ahead and dive into the vision journey. So everybody has their water in front of them, and you're welcome to keep your camera on, or you can turn your camera off if that's better. Um, so go ahead and just begin relaxing. If you can, during this vision journey, place your hands around the vessel, around the cup, the bowl, the pitcher, whatever it is that you've chosen. I want you to bring your attention to your breath and just allow your breath to flow evenly in and out. Your next inhale, take a really deep breath. Inhale, sip in a little bit more air, and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. In your mind's eye, I want you to see darkness. Just the darkness of your mind and my voice. Allow any thoughts, worries, anxieties of the day to just pass by. We'll come back to those another time. Be present here and now. In the darkness of your mind's eye, begin looking around, up and down, left and right, all around, until you can find a tiny pinprick of light. Watch as that pinprick of light grows bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter. As it moves towards you, see it as a bright ball of orange yellow light. As it moves towards you and rises up overhead, you notice that it becomes a brilliant, warm sun. Watch as the clouds appear and the landscape around you illuminates. Look to your left and to your right and look all around you. Take note of what it is that you see. In front of you, you see a vast body of water. It is steady and calm. Feeling compelled to move towards this body of water, you pick one foot up and place it in front of the other and move towards it, taking a few steps and a few steps more until you reach the water's edge. When you reach this liminal space, the place between shore and water, you decide to take a few steps deep into the water. Standing in the water, you can feel the connection between your body and spirit and the body and spirit of water. Feel the connection. Perhaps play with the water, splash and swirl around in it. After some time, a beautiful being begins to emerge out of this body of water in front of you. Perhaps a water goddess, the great mother goddess herself, a water spirit, a well maiden, a mermaid, or something else completely different. This being is benevolent, beautiful, powerful. As she rises out of the water, you watch as she begins to move towards you. Steadily, you drink in all that you see. After a few moments has passed, she reaches into the water and pulls out a beautiful mirror. She holds this mirror in front of you, and you see yourself, not how you are in this moment, but you see yourself as a fully embodied water priestess, water bearer, water steward. You see yourself in your sacred adornment. And as if a movie screen were playing in front of you, the image in the mirror begins to shift and move. And you watch yourself begin to move and act in sacred service. You take note of what it is that you're doing. And after some time has passed, the image in the mirror begins to shift and move and shudder and shake. And you find yourself looking back at yourself exactly how you are in this moment. Deep within, you know you have been shown a future possibility, a version of you, your highest potential. The mirror begins to move back down into the water. And the beautiful being in front of you this time pulls up a vessel, a sacred vessel, full of water, flowing over the edges as if it were a never-ending waterfall. She scoops her hand into the vessel and brings the water up over your head and sprinkles your crown, anointing you with these sacred waters. Again, she scoops up the water in her hand, this time bringing it to your third eye. And she draws the sacred symbol that you've seen before on your third eye, connecting your second sight with that of the magic of water. And again, she scoops up water in her hand, this time bringing it to your lips and allowing you to drink. She takes your hands and places them in this vessel, washing your hands in these sacred waters so that all you may touch will be blessed by water. all that you do with your hands may be blessed by water. And then she takes the vessel and she moves it into your heart center and presses it deep within your chest. And you watch as it merges into your heart. And as she does this, she speaks words to you, reminding you that you are a sacred vessel and that you are powerful beyond measure. Listen to her words now. What message does she have for you? How can you become a sacred steward of water? What is your own unique pathway? Spend time in communion. And as your time speaking to her, this being becomes to a close. You finish your final words to her and she to you. You watch now as she reaches down into the water again, this time producing a gift, an item, a tool, something that is unique to you, that will help you along your path. You take this item from her and you watch as she begins to fade down back into the water. You turn and make your way back to shore. retracing your footsteps, finding each footprint, and walking back to where you began, back to the beginning. And when you've reached the place where you started this journey, you look up at the sun overhead, smiling. You take a deep breath, and you watch as the sun begins to fade and become smaller and smaller. The landscape around you begins to fade, and you find yourself in darkness, listening to my voice. And so you bring your attention now back to your physical body. The inhales and the exhales. You take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, you squeeze your fingers. And again, you take another inhale, and you squeeze your toes. And on your next inhale, you exhale and bring movement back into your spine, head and neck. And when you're ready, come back to this time and space. Now immediately bring your attention to your vessel of water in front of you. Take your pointer finger, or if you have a crystal nearby, you can use that as well. And draw that sacred symbol once again into the water itself. As you do it, visualize it and see it glowing on the surface of the water. When this is done, take your hands like so, that downward pointing triangle, the alchemical glyph for water, and just place it over the glass. See yourself in your mind's eye as you did in the mirror. That fully embodied version of yourself, your future self. And inhale up, and then blow onto the surface of the water while holding the downward pointed triangle. That breath of life. So if you were to do it here, it's one-handed. Just now think back to the message that the water spirit gave you, the being gave you. The most powerful message for your path, your local waters, your inner waters. And inhale that up, and blow that into the vessel of water. If you can, continue holding your downward pointed triangle. And finally, Think about the gift, the tool, the object, the thing, whatever that was that would help to aid you on your path. Focus on that energy. Inhale up, blow the breath of life right into that water. And just as in the vision journey, take some of that water and anoint your crown, connecting you to those astral waters that you were anointed with. And again, dipping into the water, bring to your third eye and draw that sacred symbol. And finally, bring it to your heart center, the place where the chalice was infused into your chest, and anoint yourself with those waters, visualizing that sacred vessel being inside of you and you being the sacred vessel. And the very last thing for us to do is bring it to our lips. This is two parts. You're going to take 3 sips from your chalice, bringing that into your body. Make sure to leave a little bit of that water. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Each sip, see yourself as you want to be, as a fully embodied water priestess, steward of water. Okay. Now, you have 2 more parts to this ritual that you will complete after our time together. Part 2 is you're going to take a small vial or bowl or shell or something, and you're going to pour a little bit of this water into that little vessel and place that on your altar. If you put it in a vial and seal it, you'll be able to keep that water. You'll have the essence of this ritual, that higher self, that fully embodied version of you. You can place it in your purse, in your ritual bag, keep it on your altar, put it on a big shelf of water like I have back here. You can label it. It's also a new moon in Pisces, so you've got that extra Piscean energy. The last part of this ritual is if you have the ability to take the last drops of this water to your local body of water, your local river, stream, pond, the ocean, then take that and pour this into the water. When you do that, you take everything that you've seen and you pour it into a natural body of water. That energy spreads out. The waters flow and take it. It amplifies it. If you don't have the ability to travel, then gift it to a tree, a big tree, the biggest tree you can find with deep roots, and allow that water to trickle down back into the watershed, where it will eventually meet in the aquifer and make its way back up to the land. And just like what we see in the spirit world and the vision journey, we charge and put into our bodies. So too are we charging this water and putting it into the body of Mother Earth and bringing that water, that flow, that energy into the world to create the change we wish to see in ourselves, the change we wish to see in the world. And I'd like to speak for just a few moments a little bit more about becoming a sacred steward of water and what that's about. So, as I've been saying, we are vessels of water. We are powerful beyond belief, especially when we believe in ourselves or we step into sacred service with dedicated passion and purpose. And we begin a practice. It's hard to sometimes think of what it is that we will be doing in 5, 10 years from now and how we can even get there. But one step at a time, committing to daily practice, committing to tending our own sacred waters, committing to beach cleanups or river cleanups or sacred stewardship of a body of water or our own body of water. There are many pathways to become a sacred steward of water, to walk the path of the water priestess. I'd love to hear in the chat some of the ways that you're really feeling drawn to this. Is it through activism? Is it through sacred service, such as tending ourselves, becoming a healer, um, walking the path of the water priestess? You could drop a long amount, or you can just drop a word or two. But there's like I said, there's many ways. There's using our voice, whether it's through singing or whether public speaking or activism. There's using skills that we may have from the corporate world that can translate into the spiritual arts or even into um, helping nonprofits. Some of the students that I've worked with, they've all been very unique. I have a few that work with, actually, I have more than one that work in animal and bird sanctuaries, helping to rehabilitate birds and water birds. And I have others that work with their local watersheds. Some that just take on the mantle of saying, you know what, that pond right there in my local neighborhood, in my area, is home to not only the humans that live here, but the wildlife, and it's my job to take care of that. I mentioned in our opening call one of my students, Jessie Joy, who does beach cleanups in a very big way by wearing fancy dresses and hauling out, uh, trash and a ladder and a car, half of a car bumper. Um, there's taking a softer approach, which is tending to our communities, healing people on an individual level, working as a wise woman. Um, you know, some people, some of you are meant for big work. Some of you are meant for really big work, holding large spaces or really getting into the activism. And others are meant for softer work, for work that is about healing the individual, about physical one-on-one type of ceremonies. Others are here to literally be oracles and voices of the water, and to listen to the water spirits and impart some of those messages back to other people and to the community. So just as diverse as water is, so are you. And there's so many different pathways to express this, to experience this. And it would be my honor to be your guide. And I would love to invite you and into the Well Maiden course, which, like I said, starts on the 30th of this month. It's 9 days. And we are going to do that deep dive. We're going to talk to the Well Maidens. We're going to meet the Well Maidens. How many of you met the Well Maidens? Did anybody meet a Well Maiden in the Vision Journey? Drop it in the chat. Or was it a mermaid or a goddess that came through for you? You can also drop in the chat who it was that came through. I'd love to hear. Or was it just the water herself that spoke to you? Sometimes that happens. Aphrodite also shows up a lot for people. Um, but so yes, the Well Maiden course, this 9-day course that begins on the 30th. We have more videos healing and blessing the water. In fact, actually, let me pull this up as I'm speaking to you, and tell you a little bit about what's actually coming up in the Well Maiden course. And it's right here. So we are going to cover in the Well Maiden course. Oh, okay. I love all of these topics. So we're going to attune ourselves to water. We are going to be, really shifting our energy so that we are really in attunement, really in alignment with water. We are going to be talking about how to create different sacred waters, and how to do daily rituals, showing up at our altar daily. We are going to be talking about how to properly give offerings to the water in a way that is from sacred service instead of pollution. We are going to be talking about doing hands-on ceremonies and rituals like blessing and healing the waters. And my favorite, although I have to say they're all part of my favorite, is restoring the wasteland. We are going to be talking about how to restore the wasteland. Maybe that wasteland is our own selves. Maybe it's our spirit. Maybe it's our body. Maybe it's our neighborhood. Maybe it's the planet itself, or maybe it's our local river. But we're going to be talking about all of that. And it is a mix, like this course, of pre-recorded and videos, except this time we're going to be meeting 4 times over the 9 days, and then you'll also get a couple of pre-recorded videos as well. All right, a couple of things I want to read here. So, some of the ways that we can be sacred stewards of water: ceremony, life transitioning, healing, working with local rivers, communing with local water, advocating for freshwater initiatives. Yes. Further serving and being the voice for Melusine in the world. Yes, I love this. Melusine's one of my favorites. Writing sacred poetry, running my blog and Patreon, performing oracular work, online writing, like putting resources online so that other people can find them, is also amazing. It's a pebble in the water. Um, so, Joy says I always connected strongly to the ocean. So my vision involved the beach and the ocean, and be moving to the coast, doing cleanups, working with people. My gift doesn't make sense as of now, but visiting the ocean tomorrow and hope to get more clarity. Well, and that's part of what the Well Maiden course is all about, is helping to find that clarity. And then the Water Bear course is like not only finding that clarity, but really practicing it so that you can do this work in the world. Many times we're really unsure, or we have a glimpse of what those gifts are, but it could be scary, or we just don't know how to actualize it. But working with the Well Maidens is a great way to take that to the next step. Plan on doing water rituals in the ocean. Yes, letting the waters wash over me to release. Oh, Mother Mary showed up when you drank your water. Somehow it tasted of rosemary. I love that. Interestingly enough, so rosemary there's a folk name for it called sea dew. But also Mary of the sea is Stella Maris. So Mary does have a deep connection with, like with the ocean itself, being Stella Maris, Mary of the sea, the guide for sailors. And I love that rosemary is called sea dew. So interesting connections for you there. It also might be one of your power plants. Rosemary is a very, very powerful magical plant, that can be used in many ways. Ooh, okay. So not sure who the being was, but she was blue, green skinned with flowing hair and garments. Sounds like a water spirit. Very classic example of what a water spirit could be. Not all mermaids have tails. And not all water spirits are mermaids. It is very layered. Um, Not sure who it was for me either. Long flowy hair, possibly reddish blonde, naked, bell-like voice, and in another language. Ah, yes. Water spirits often will speak very plainly in English or whatever language it is. They will also sometimes speak to you in riddles and rhymes. They will also sometimes not speak at all, but put visions in your mind. And sometimes you will hear them in completely other languages. Some of the Avalonian priestesses that I work with in the other realm, not the human Avalonian priestesses, but the priestesses of Avalon, the ancestral priestesses, their incantations are very familiar, but all very often are in languages I don't know. Melusine showed up in her well maiden aspect, so mermaid goddess, well maiden, all. Yes, and someone else. Yep, Stella Maris. All right. So I would love to take the last 10 minutes of our call and open up for questions, open up for anything that anyone wants to share from the vision journeys. And yeah, just kind of let it be an organic flow of what was showing up for you. What is it that you saw? Oh, I'd love to hear about your gifts. So when you receive a gift in the astral realm, it is something that can be used within your vision journeys. It's something that when you pick back up, when you step back into the spiritual realms, you will have this tool with you. It can also often be something that is to help you out in the physical 3D world. You may wish, in some cases, to find a similar version in the 3D physical world, and to then bring that to your altar and use it as a sacred tool. You may have received a chalice, or you may have received a crystal or a shell, or different things like this. And those can be tools in which the water wishes for you to work with in a way that brings you together. So what I'm trying to say is like, let's say that you got a shell in the vision journey. This shell could be a representation of a sacred vessel. It could be a tool that you place on your physical altar where you pour your waters, where you create your sacred waters and elixirs. Um, Oh, and the first comment here says that my gift was a scallop shell, and it seemed very otherworldly. So this often happens where the gifts in the other world, they will be real objects like a shell, but like nothing that you've ever seen before. And you have to remember that this is also the other world. This is another dimension. This is a spiritual realm where things will be very similar and they will mirror in the physical realms, but the impossible can happen in the other world. Um, okay, so we have another one. A large, size of my palm scale. It was like a mermaid scale, iridescent and almost clear. Oh, this is interesting. This is really, really interesting. Um, so that could have something to do with being connected to the fin folk, mermaids, or even just working with more scaly beings as well. Um, Also, you may need to go back into the vision journey at a later date and talk to that being again and ask what it's for. We have another one here, a green and purple ammonite. Ooh, green and purple are very deeply connected with like colors of enchantment and magic. But the ammonite is also deeply connected with water. Ammonites are fossilized squid shells, or like they're not nautilus, but they look very much like a nautilus shell. But they contain within them the primordial energies of the earth. They are ancient. Many of them are millions of years old. But they also hold within them the codes of the spiral, which is such a powerful symbol connected to water. Given a staff with a large shell. The staff is interesting. The staff could have a lot to do with traveling, walking, being on the journey, being on the path. But it could also have to do with oracular work. A lot of people use the staff either to like cast circles or to help create trance. And so there could be a little bit of connection with either traveling, walking the path, moving forward on the path, support on the path. These water beings are supporting your path. But it could also be a giant wand wielding of magic. Beautiful. An amethyst, powerful, powerful amethyst. So crystals are very important and powerful, and they often show up a lot. Um, Ooh, okay, Lindsay, flint, local stone, ceremonial knife. That's really interesting. So flint is another, I feel like flint is really overlooked. But yet it's a very, very powerful um stone. Again, it carries primordial energy, the energy of the when the earth was created, when these rocks these were formed. It has a lot of connection back to our ancestors, especially our ancient ancestors, Neolithic, Bronze Age ancestors. Um, so and a ceremonial knife. That like because the flint is very much. Have you ever seen flint knapping where like the Bronze Age knives and how they actually like create the those Bronze Age Neolithic spears and knives and tools. Um, this is like the ancient ancestors, 5, 10,000 years ago. So not only do you have a knife for ceremony, but it connects you back to our ancestors. Very primordial energy as well. Of course, the ocean itself is got that primordial energy. Um, Hoping to get more clarity on the gift, the scale at the ocean tomorrow. Um, Yeah, oh, good idea. It is in the new moon, right? New moon in Pisces. Really intense new moon in Pisces. So dream work it's a great time to do dream work. Um, Here's a fun little exercise that you can do. So we talked about Veda Austin's work, right? So you can take a dish, a petri dish if you've got one, or a little shallow dish or glass. Clear glass is the best. And when you do your dream work tonight, place it on your nightstand really close to your head. And in the morning, you can freeze it for like 6 to 7 minutes, pour it out. And if it is that petri dish, that clear glass, you may be able to see some of the crystal created in the actual dish, just like what we saw with Veda Austin's work. So her process is basically you take a petri dish, you put the water in there, you charge it. It's about 6 to 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depending on your freezer. In the freezer, you pour out the excess water, you hold it up, and then you look at the crystals. You could see if that shows up. I have had some students be really successful in some of this type of stuff, but see what happens. See what comes through for you. Um, so see what comes through. All right. Do we have any questions about water or water practicing, or just walking the path of the water priestess? All right. Well, I wait to see if anybody pops up anything. All right, we're coming to the close of our call, and I just want to thank you all so much for being here and being part of this and just just being interested and being a sacred steward of water. Again, I want to invite you all to the Well Maiden course Um, later on this month on the 30th. So I'll be sending emails out, but you have the links to sign up for all of that. And I hope to see you all there. It's a continuation, like I said, of this. And we do a lovely little deep dive, and it's one of my favorite times of the year when we really get to deeply connect, not only with each other, but with water and find out what it is that water wants to say to us. So, all right. Oh, we've already got some folks that say they're signed up. Yes, awesome, Lindsay. I'm excited to see you in the Well Maiden course as well. Um, Yeah, oh, interesting. Claudine's been having a little insomnia. Interesting to see what would come from the freezer. Yeah, give it a shot. You can also look on Vada's website if you're interested more in how to do that. Everyone's saying thank you in the comments. So thank you all again so much for being here and for being willing to walk the path of water, to listen to water, and to being willing to show up for water and what, and make change in this world. Together, collectively, I do believe we can. And you're part of that. So thank you so much for being here. Yay, awesome. Seeing so many in the comments that are going to be at the Well Maiden. Super excited. All right, everyone, this is the end of our call. Once again, thank you so much for being here. And I will see you all in the Well Maiden. Have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you're at. And I hope to see you again. Bye bye.